Okay, I want to talk about this quickly because I'm going to go watch Stars with my wife. Everyone talks about this on YouTube. It gets 1 million views, and I don't think anyone who has talked about this has actually done the work that I've done. I'm going to be honest. I don't think they've played every venue. I don't think they can talk about a Broadway gigging musician's, salary. Not like what I do, but like what us Broadway musicians do. Most people I see who talk about Broadway pay, they either haven't played much Broadway or they've played one venue once a week, or they haven't claimed to be an expert on it. I'm not going to claim to be an expert on it because there's venues I haven't played. This is a twofold thing. Someone in the back once said, "Why all the coloring stuff? What the hell?" Well, the card stock came in handy so I can remember where you're playing. This is, you can't really see it, but it's basically how much everywhere costs on Broadway. I'm literally just going to go block by block. So if you're coming down Broadway, going towards First Ave, on your left, on the first block, you'll see Legends, Tootsie's, Roberts, Layla's, The Stage, and Whiskey Row. At Legends, I believe my base pay was $75. At Roberts, it was $40. Tootsie's, it was $50 to $80. The Stage, it was $75 to $125. Whiskey Row was $100 to $200. There's Lucky Bastards as well, that was always $100. And then Layla's is $125, $100, depending on the group. These are all venues that you make tips at. You can run the bucket, you can do whatever you want, you can do all that. Now that's, usually those venues don't have as high a base pay unless you've negotiated for it, because you are allowed to stop the show, send someone round, you are allowed to ask for song requests, you're allowed to mention over the mic, hey, it's $100 to hear Dev Went Down to Georgia or Freebird, etc. I'll get into this in a minute. In the next block, Margaritaville, no clue, haven't played there. Haven't even stepped foot inside, sorry. Tin Roof, $75 to $125, it depends. Casa Rosa, $150, $125, can't run the bucket there. Whiskey Bent, $75 to $85, you can run the bucket. Probably the most chill, can do whatever you want venue on Broadway. All Red, $150 to $200. Now, I've never run the bucket or seen someone run the bucket at All Red, but we're certainly allowed to talk about tips and make money that way. Next, we have Redneck Riviera. It's like $75 to $125, depending where I've played. Chiefs, no clue. Next block after that, so the last block going down on the left towards First, would be Hard Rock Cafe. I was meant to do a gig there once. It was $150 base, and then it got cancelled. Down, there's Second Ave. It goes down two ways, right? If you're going down Broadway, Second Ave goes two ways. On this side, you have Taco Bell, Cat 10, a bunch of stuff. I've played Cat 10, and my base pay's always been $250, except some gigs it got $125. On the right, there's Barstool. I've had anywhere from $100 to $200. Now, if you're going down Broadway and you're looking at your right, you're going to start with Rippies, $50 to $80 base pay. Mellow Mushroom, $100 base pay when I played there. After that is AJ's, that's $100 to $120, $150, depending on who it is. Same with Hank Jr.'s next to that. John Bon Jovi's, no clue, not my bag, haven't stepped foot inside it. HTC Main, $50 to $80. Then there is Luke Bryan's, Post Malone's, and Jason Aldean's. All the bases there for me are $150. Then we move to the next block. Kid Rock's. Kid Rock's is $50 to $80. After that is Jelly Rolls, $100 to $150. After that is Bootleggers. I got $75 when I played there. Next block is Whiskey River. I got $100 there. Acme, Feed and Seed, no clue. That's all the bars I play. Now, here's how it works. The bars are broken down into like groups. So there's the Tootsie's group, which is Tootsie's, Kid Rock's, Rippies, and Honky Tonk Central. I play there a lot, very happy to, they treat me well. Then there is, I don't know the names, but like there's the High Wire circuit, I think it is, I'm probably wrong, and that's kind of the, it's like the artist bars, so like Lainey Wilson's, actually, which is behind Kid Rock's, my base pay there is $150. All these bars, the base pay is like $150, except on some morning shifts. But that's like Luke Bryan's, Jay Saldine, Post Malone, Lainey Wilson's, Miranda Lambert's, Casa Rosa. Then there's another circuit, which is like the stage and legends and all that. But basically, the whole point of that is all the kind of circuits have their own mentality and rules surrounding things. Now, on the circuit that's like Jason Aldean's, Post Malone's, you don't run the bucket. In fact, you really don't usually mention tips. If someone comes up and requests something, you just kind of go, yeah, we'll do it. Or you can politely say to them, but you're not over them like going, hey, it's $20 a song. Tootsie Circuit, other circuits, you are allowed to say that. You're allowed to say, hey, it's $20 a song, $100 if you want to hear this song, and you can tell someone like, hey mate, stop harassing us, like it's getting real annoying, blah, blah, blah. Barstool, we don't run the bucket. Cat 10, you don't run the bucket. Acme, no clue. Bands, it's pretty country there. Speaking of country, there's Ernest Tubbs. I haven't played there yet. I would like to. I think it's 100 base pay or 125, but I'm not sure. Basically, you can earn over $1,000 a week on Broadway. In the summertime when it's popping, you can earn $3,000. If you're on Kid Rock's main, like some of these cats, Thursday through Sunday, 6 to 10, 10 to close, you are making $3-4 a week minimum. Like, I'm serious. Like, I've seen acts perform and they've just been like, we just got $500 for Wagon Wheel, and then next they're like, we just got $300 for you know, whatever. Oh, and we just got 2 $100 song requests. Oh, we just got $300 for one song. Like, I've seen that happen in a row. So I'm already at like 1,500 split between 5 people, which is just like crazy. Now, the bucket running thing, this is dependent on your front. Some people are really, really insanely good at running the bucket. I have this one woman I play with who takes an empty room and turns it into your month's rent. It is genuinely scary how good she is at it. I have other people who are not good at it, but leave them on stage and they'll make crazy money that way. I personally am not a very good bucket runner. I don't know if I'm good at talking to the crowd. Like, morning shifts I seem to do a bit better when people understand my humor, being from overseas. I will say this. Although everyone's, you know, Kid Rock's main, Whiskey Row, 6 to 10, the stage 6 to 10, Saturdays. Those are the Saturday 6 to 10 is the best shift. But I have had that consistent Monday at Friends and Low Places with Christian Stoles. And we've averaged $350 every gig. So it's not always like the biggest, highest energy is going to be the best. I think this is where a lot of people get confused. A lot of people move to town and play morning shifts and go, I didn't make anything. It's because, yeah, mate, you're in the middle of nowhere playing to no one. You know, the acoustic shifts seem to make regularly crazy good money because you almost can ignore people's requests and go, yeah, we'll just do that, and then at the end they'll tip you. Or, you know, you give them one $5 tip, they keep coming back. It's a lot to think about. People say, oh, these Broadway cats, all they do is sit there and play Wagon Wheel. It's like, I don't know, mate. Like, it's a job. Like, people can be very down on Broadway, but then complain about having no gigs or you know, there's some celebrity. So it's like, all right, mate, well, I'm sorry I'm not you, you know. But if you'd love to get together and get coffee and we can discuss this, I would love that. And we can talk about it, and perhaps you can walk away with a new perspective and not feel the need to put a fellow musician down. Broadway wages, from what I've talked to people about, have ranged from, yeah, I make about $40,000 a year, to a top earner being like 6 figures is an average year. No question. At one point he was like, yeah, $4,000 a week. And I was just like, it's like $200K a year. That's crazy. But he gigged every day, all day, non-stop. His base pay was like $2,200 before he made tips. It was insane. Now, I've had weeks where I've made $400. I've had weeks where there was one week where everything just came together. I got a $1,000 tip in one gig, and then I got a $500 tip the next gig, and someone walked out after me like 10 minutes after we were done, followed me to the garage and went, hey, sorry, here you go, and gave me $200. I was far out. Made a few grand that week. But the thing about Broadway is not consistent. There was a recent incident where Nudies is firing a lot of their bands, so a lot of people have now lost their base pay. You know, they just go, oh, we're going more country. Lucky Bastards did that a few years ago, and now I think they're back. What happens is you can't get too comfortable, because you're always going to be moving gigs probably, or finding new ones, or needing to pick up something. You've got to be pretty open to jumping around. Someone like Luke McQuarrie, you're not subbing for him or just going to come in and take his gig. That's a very cemented gig, and Luke's the right man for that gig. And Luke is a far out phenomenal player and human being, and I love him to death. I wouldn't even dare try and practice to get into that. That's a gig that's very unique and specific. But for most players, if you're like, well, I'm only going to play old country, there's a lot of old cats here who have those. You need to be ready to take a few rubbish gigs that maybe you're not going to be happy on, and it's not a bad thing. But I don't know. I can't say who makes the most. I know I've had $1,000 gig with one lady, and that was pretty good feeling, because I was brand new to town. I've also had a $42 gig. When I look at this map, it's so hard to see. I tried to do it on the other side, but like I messed up my dimensions. So, I think about the philosophy behind each venue. If you are truly focused on making the money, you can make that happen. If you're focused on the music, you can make that happen. Both can occur simultaneously. But you have to decide where you lie. I have friends who this is just money. Also, I keep looking this side because I'm used to the camera being here, but it's here right now, and I'm halfway through this, so I'm not changing this. I've got friends who are buying houses because of their Broadway playing. I have a friend who just bought a house. He plays 5 days a week. That's it. He will not play those other days. He plays 6 shifts in that time. Very happy. I have another mate who plays 4 shifts a week, has a job outside of this, and he owns a house. I'm very fortunate to have bought a lot of gear and help my wife go through school and, pay for my visas and stuff. It's a misnomer that people say that Broadway people don't make money. Some of these cats I know make so much money, it's stupid. Some fronts shave off top, and so they're leaving every gig with $500 before they've started, but they're telling the players like, hey, $150. Really, it's $250, and they're taking $100 from each person up top or something, I think it's pretty varied, but most cats I know on average probably make $1,000 a week, which is a killer wage as a musician anyway. That's great. That's great money. That's enough to live and save in Tennessee anyway. Especially got roommates. That's where it is about. I would say that's probably the average. I know people who do 4 gigs a week and make that. I know people who do 10 gigs a week and make that. It's as much as it is like, hey, if you're on, Mellow Mushroom at 2 p.m. on a Monday versus Kid Rock's Saturday 10 to close, you are going to make differing amounts of money. But all it takes is one person who loves you to just go, yeah, and treat you very well. Which I hope happens so I can pay for my next visa. And, I don't know, buy strings or something. Probably need strings. I don't change strings very often. But this is just a short but honest kind of look into some thoughts behind the money thing, because I see a lot of people posting about it, and I'm going to be honest, I know most of these people, and I love you, but you haven't slogged it out down there, and you haven't gone to town on it, and I don't think one venue justifies being able to discuss a living wage that's made on Broadway. I think you need more than that. And I'm getting a text right now, and I've just booked a gig. So, cool, I can do that. Yeah, this is what Broadway is like. And they've just sent me a song list. I know all of them except Kickstart My Heart. Yeah, I don't know Kickstart My Heart at all. I'm really bad at that kind of genre. But I would love to get better at it. Look, I've been told I'm playing HC main, and my bass pay is 80. Yeah, I can decide whether to do or not. Big factors can be, though, who is running the bucket, who is doing the talking. Some people, I had, the first time I had this Wednesday gig I have where it's 3 guitarists and all that, we made $300. Next week we made $100. It's one of those things where it's just luck of the draw. But I wanted to give an honest look at, yes, set list is in. Hell yeah. It does that song, American Boy. Can't remember that. American Boy, it's Estelle, isn't it? Have I got a chart? Maybe I'll play that out for the end. All right, because this is a really cool chord progression. 1, major 7, or is it? No, it's. I had it mixed up. So, can voice lead it. I don't know. It's a cool chord progression. Same chord as your A minor 7, F major 7. I should talk about voice leading one day. Anyway, there was me terribly playing through a progression. Because there's an honest look at practice. Honesty in practice. Huge. How much do Broadway musicians make? I don't know. It depends who you are. I make a livable wage and I'm very happy. I've been able to take holidays. I've also been scared out of my life whether I'm going to make rent, and I've called my parents in tears saying, hey, I just need $100. So it depends. It's all dependent. People message me all the time. How much am I going to make? Blah, blah. I don't know. How good are you at running the tip jar? How good are you at talking? All of the above. All right, I'm gonna upload this. See what happens. How much do Broadway musicians make? Ones of dollars, tens of cents, hundreds of pennies. You know, if you break it down into pennies, you're like heaps rich. And if you convert to Australian, you're probably a billionaire. But I'm not in Australia, so I wouldn't know. But I make enough to live and pay my rent, and I'm very, very, very happy. I made enough to trade into something to get into this and all that, you know, and I want another one. I want the bigger version of this so bad, the AS100. Very hip. I don't know. Have you done Broadway? How much do you make? People talk to me about the old days. In the 70s, you'd leave with $12. Really, Bobby? Far out. Yeah, but in the 90s, you'd leave with 40. Oh, fuck, $40. Early 2000s, one of my friend's base pay was $30. He said he'd leave with $12 in tips, and he'd do that 3 times a week, and he was fine. Dude, that's crazy. Maybe next I'll talk about road and studio pay. I don't know studio pay. I'll literally be reading off shit. I'll talk about road pay, though. I don't mind. Anyway, 20 minutes. Enough time to collectively waste between ourselves, right? I don't know if you'll like the rambling, but I'll keep it up if you do. It's just who I am. So I'm going to clock this exactly 20 minutes. See ya.